Welcome to Old Guy Tech,
the OGT.TV recording studio.
Technology for the rest of us.
Hi, this is Rob with Old Guy Tech TV interviews, and today I have the honor of having Dave Combellack with us talking about his running for judge in El Dorado County. So Dave, first of all, I want to thank you very much for coming in this studio. Thank you, appreciate it. My admonition to everybody that runs is thank you for running, because without you running or others running, our system doesn't work. And that's what the whole reason our system's there. And people have to put themselves out, and I won't do it. So thank you for running. I appreciate it very much.
Well, I'm very honored to be running. I can't say it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but I'm looking forward to ending the election process and getting on with trying to serve the community as a judge.
There you go. And you know, they say that if you don't wear out at least one pair of shoes, you haven't done your job. So,
well, believe me, I'm wearing them out.
That's good. That's good. It's good to get yourself out there and knock on doors and talk to people, because some people feel so disenfranchised. And of course, you know, we have the El Dorado Hills problem, and we have the granite wall problem, and it becomes very difficult. But let's start out with the audience here, and why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your history, your life, why you became an attorney, and why is it that you want to be a judge?
All right, let me give that a shot.
Okay.
Well, I was born in Placerville. For a brief time, my family moved to Monterey, and I was in Monterey in kindergarten and first grade. We moved back to Placerville because my dad came back to run the clothing store with his brother.
Right.
Growing up, I worked on the pear orchard most of the time. It was my choice to be outdoors as opposed to working in the clothing store. And then I went to Davis, started out majoring in mathematics, and decided that where was I going with that? And I didn't want to be a math professor, so I switched to econ.
Okay.
I got a degree in econ, and my last class at Davis, my last semester, I took Ag Econ, which was a business law class. I found that fascinating, and I was potentially going to be drafted soon, and I thought I better apply to law school. And unfortunately, I thought I was going to go to Vietnam.
Yeah.
Not that I wouldn't serve the country in the case of a national emergency, but so to shorten that story, I got admitted to law school. I went to McGeorge. I went to McGeorge at night, and first year I substitute taught school, and my second, third, and fourth years I worked for a local law firm during the day, the firm of Beverly, Riley, Hamilton, and Peterson. So that was the beginning of my legal endeavors, going to McGeorge and being mentored by some really great local lawyers. I subsequently was hired by that same firm. I worked there as associate, ultimately became a partner. More and more progress down the line. John Driscoll joined us, and ultimately Driscoll and I were partners together. He became the city attorney and the city manager, and Lauren Craig became my partner. And about 3 years ago, Lauren Craig decided to go out on her own and cut back. So now it's Combellack Law Offices. I have one associate and 2 law clerks. And we have a general practice located on Cedar Ravine in my grandparents' house.
Right. And it's a beautiful building.
Yeah, it's changed my whole outlook on practicing law.
Yeah.
I didn't dislike it before, but now that I have my own office and I have a window, I truly enjoy what I'm doing.
That's great. That's great. So let's talk a little bit about the fact that you decided to put your hat in the ring here, right? You know, what drove you to this?
Well, I'm not fast. I thought about this for a long time. I've probably been thinking about it for as much as 15 years. And I finally decided that I really did want to do it.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I had a lot of experience. I was ready to change from being an advocate to being a decider, ready to make decisions, and the prospect of being a judge appealed to me. Additionally, for the reason of giving back to the community. I hesitated a little bit there because when I say giving, I'm going to be, if I'm elected, I will have a salary, so it's not giving in the sense that I'm used to. I have a history of a lot of community volunteerism, and I'm very proud of that. Being a judge, I think I can give back to the community, but I'll actually be paid for it. So maybe not as much as I could make in private practice, but
Well, hey, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I know a number of judges that do a lot of things besides sitting on the bench, and I think it's a honorable position, and we need good people. So what do you think sets yourself apart from the others?
well, I think two things that are the most obvious. The first relates to my experience as a lawyer. We talked about my experience as a law clerk. I think it was very, very important to my legal career to be mentored by these really good lawyers. I think you learn a lot of ethics. You learn a lot of techniques. I learned different techniques from different lawyers that mentored me. And then I progressed as I started as a very general practitioner. So I have over 38 years of experience, that's not counting the law clerking, of being a general practitioner in El Dorado County. My practice has narrowed somewhat over the years. For example, when Patrick Riley became a judge, I narrowed my practice and no longer did family law. But I still have a lot of experience in family law. So I've narrowed my practice a little bit, but I have a very, very broad legal background, and I believe that I can step into any of our courtrooms. We have criminal courtrooms, we have civil courtrooms, we have juvenile courtrooms, we have family law courtrooms, and even though I'm running for Department 7 or Office 1,
Yeah.
which is confusing to
It
me
is.
a little bit, but let's just say for Judge Phimister's department,
Right.
which is currently a criminal motion department, pretrial, I may or may not be handling that calendar. I could be placed handling any calendar by the presiding judge, and I think that sets me apart. My breadth and depth of experience, I think, exceeds significantly any of the other people running for the office. In addition to that, if I might add, I think the other thing that sets me apart very, very significantly is my knowledge and love for this community, which I would suggest is demonstrated by my history and my involvement in this community from basically when I started practicing law. My father was a business person. The mentor attorneys that I worked for were in private practice, and I was taught that as a businessman, you take from the community, and therefore you should give back to the community. And over the history of my career, I think I've shown that I learned that lesson. I've been involved as a volunteer on the Marshall Hospital Board. I was on that for 9 years, which was the maximum term. And then I was off for about 9 and then was back on for 9. I served as president during both those terms, not the entire 9 years, because you can only be president for 3.
Right.
I've been on the El Dorado Community Foundation. I was on that for a 9-year period. I've been involved in the El Dorado County Chamber of Commerce since I became a lawyer. I recently joined the El Dorado Hills Chamber because I believe that's important to me in my candidacy. I've been involved in the El Dorado County Superior Court Teen Court Program.
That's quite a program.
It's an amazing program. So I've served there both as a mentor attorney and as a judge of that teen court. And I've also been involved as a judge pro tem for about 25 years. And I have the experience on both sides of the bench, if you will. I've handled all sorts of litigation matters, including big civil cases. Got one large verdict of $3.2 million up in a Tahoe court. I've done court trials. I'm in court routinely, and then I've also served as a judge pro tem in traffic court, small claims court, unlawful detainer matters, and I'm particularly proud of having served as a judge pro tem in our dispute resolution conference program, which I think has significantly reduced the load of our courts.
Yeah, that helps a lot. And I think the other thing, and you're hitting on it, is the fact that you're in the court. And many of you may not know, but there's a lot of attorneys that have never stepped foot in a court. And I think it's important that, well, that who we choose is somebody who's got that experience, because you're going to be a judge, you're going to be in that court the whole time. So let me ask you this. Now, what do you think? There's a number of issues that the courts are facing, and besides on the political side, the courts have a facilities issue. What's your understanding about what we're going to be able to do or not be able to do in El Dorado County as far as facilities?
Well, I don't really have an understanding of what we're going to be able to do or not be able to do. Other than obviously money is a big issue these days, and while this doesn't, I don't believe, apply directly to facilities, our court system from an operations standpoint has just been impacted beyond belief.
Right.
I think the budget is about half of what it was. On the facilities side, I don't know where these funds come from, but I believe it's different.
Sure. Well, we have a situation.
Sources.
Let's explain to the audience a little bit so they understand what I mean by facilities. I've been in this, and so I want to explain to the audience out there that doesn't understand it. We have courtrooms throughout the county. We don't have a central court system per se. So we're duplicating work all over the place. I mean, we have courts in Cameron Park, the main court in Placerville. Obviously, Lake Tahoe has a court. There's a court in Building C. So they're spread out all over the place. And as a businessman, I would say, okay, so we're duplicating an awful lot of effort in here in staff. Am I right on this opinion?
Well, there's a tremendous amount of inefficiencies due to the layout that you're talking about, and whether or not we could get by with less staff or not, I don't know, but certainly we could operate more efficiently. And the main reason I say whether we could get by with less staff is we've been cut back so much that we're kind of down to bare bones. But certainly if we were able to have a facility, for example, if we were to have a facility that was located in proximity to the jail, we would have far less transportation issues, and compounding the transportation would be personnel, because every time you're moving people around, you have people driving vehicles, and you have security issues, and you got to get these people in and out of the courtroom, and there could be tremendous efficiencies if we could centralize and have all of these departments in one place. In addition to that, to the extent that there's ever a judge that has a free moment, which frankly
It's a little tough. Yeah.
I remember the day
Yeah.
when that happened, but these judges now are working really hard.
Yeah.
I see these judges, their cars are parked out in back of the court at 5 o'clock in the morning and sometimes at 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, there's going to be times when a judge could fill one position instead of another position, and it would, in my opinion, create a lot more efficiencies. I mean, ideally, I suppose we could have a facility that would have the district attorney's personnel in the same location,
Right.
which would also, I think, result in a dollar savings.
Yeah, probably, if you created a law center, I mean, you could have literally, the sheriff's department, the courts, the district attorney's office, and maybe the public defender's office as well.
Yeah, actually, that's when I said district attorney's office, it popped in my head. Well,
Yeah.
we should have the public defender there too.
Yeah,
Same reason.
Same reason. I think economy of scale makes a lot of sense. And I know that the sheriff's department is fortunate enough at this point. I think their sites, the site committee has chosen a number of sites, I think 3 sites, and I think they're in the process of finalizing that site for them. And I have no idea how that relates to the courts yet, except that every candidate for the judgeship that's come in here has always said, gee, it'd be nice to be close to the sheriff, simply because of the safety factors. And again, people forget the fact that these people need due process, and so that means that we have to have bailiffs and transportation people constantly moving from the jail to the courts, and then you have the security issue in the courts themselves for these people. So, we want to make sure that what's designed will fit well for El Dorado County, and I personally think you'll find some economic savings in it as well. But we're talking a long-term project. We're not talking something here that's going to happen overnight.
That's definitely true. I think what's also interesting, though, if the sheriff gets the opportunity to build a new facility, let's put it this way. Right now, we have 2 potential facilities. We've got the sheriff thinking about a facility, and we've got potentially a new courthouse.
Right.
Well, it would be, in my opinion, tragic if the plan didn't include those facilities working in an efficient manner, whether or not it's today. So I would like to see whichever facility gets built first, that it be part of a master plan, so that when the funds become available, whether it's for the sheriff's office or whether it's for the court, when those funds become available, the next facility is built in coordination.
It would be nice if that could happen. I have no idea if it will, simply because sometimes when the opportunity strikes, you go, and I think the sheriff has been working on this long enough. I mean, they're in a building, for you who don't know it, the sheriff's department is in a building that they can't even house prisoners in. That's how bad that building is. I mean, they could put workers down in there, but you can't house a prisoner. So I think a little bit that is what's going on. And I have no idea the site committee, what they chose or not, but one would hope that maybe there is some foresight to putting the courts near it somewhere.
Well, I don't profess to have the answer, and I tend to oversimplify, but it would seem that building one or the other facilities in a location where there was adequate land to build the other facility would not be prohibitive financially, and that would seem to me to be very foresightful.
Yes. Yeah, I would hope so, but I don't know. I do know, having been involved a little bit with law enforcement, I do know the mentality of it is usually take the high ground. And so looking at El Dorado County, you kind of go, okay, where are we going to put this thing? And I don't have a clue on that. But that's another issue for another day for us. You know, there must be some other things that you'd like to tell the people out there a little bit about. What is your hot button topic, and what do you think is really important?
Well, what I think potentially would be important to me, I get elected, and even though court employees are not my employees, it'll be important to me to work with those people. And I am very proud of my history of having a very good relationship with court clerks, as I was mentored that way. And then when my associates would get into these battles with the clerk, I would suggest to them that the best idea is to do it the clerk's way. You don't have to get your way unless your client's going to be injured because of the way the clerk wants to do it. And then obviously you have to protect your client's interest.
Right.
However, I think that that's where my strong talents will come in, and I like to be a team player. I've always enjoyed being in partnerships. I miss being in a partnership now. I enjoy very much working with my associate, but I'm anxious to try to get in and learn from the clerks. I don't think a judge. I think a judge's ego could be really problematic, and I'd like to say that I'm a down-to-earth guy.
Right.
And I think I enjoy. I'm almost certain that I enjoy support of the vast expanse of the clerks. I mean, there may be one or two that don't like me that much, but I don't know who that is.
Can't make everybody happy. That's the way I look at that. I've gotten over that a long time ago. So, but you know, that brings up a really good point. You know, does your style fit well with working within the guidelines of the court system?
Well, of course think it does.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, frankly, I believe that I can become elected as a judge, and I can work with every one of the other judges. In fact, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I look forward to being appointed to whatever task the presiding judge might put my way. And even though my strong suit isn't the criminal sector, I believe that I have a relatively flat learning curve to get up to speed, and I could be placed in any of the departments, and I would look forward to that. I've done more civil than anything else. I haven't done domestic in a while, but I'd be happy to be put in the domestic court. In fact, I sat as a judge pro tem helping domestic lawyers settle their cases long after I had no longer been practicing domestic relations. So I look forward to just taking on the judgeship task.
We bannered this word judge pro tem around, and you and I both understand what it is, but it just dawned on me maybe the audience doesn't understand. Why don't we explain to them really quick what that is?
Well, it basically means temporary. It means judge for a short period of time. And that could be a judge pro tem for compensation or as a volunteer. I have not sat as a judge pro tem where I was compensated by the county or the court system. However, I have sat as a dispute resolution conference person. When I'm doing that for the court system, that's as a volunteer, but I also do it privately.
Right.
And I have I think, a very good reputation of settling cases, and sometimes I have the fortune of being hired to be a judge pro tem. More times than not, I get called on by local lawyers to do the voluntary part because they're familiar with me,
Right.
And I do it for free. But anyway, it basically means for a short period.
For a
of
short
time.
period of time. So that experience obviously falls right into becoming a judge, because that gives you some experience sitting on the bench.
Well, I think so. And,
Yeah.
And I think I know my way around the courtroom from both sides.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know, because, my problem in interviewing people that are running for judges, of course, is that I try to stay away from something or a subject that may eventually come before you, and I don't want to make sure that I don't step on any toes. So I've been very careful with judge candidates here, making sure that people. But I think what I want to do is I want to educate the people a little bit about the system and the way it works, and how you will handle the system, and how you'll take care of that. And you talked about the resolution, being able to be into that arena and learn how to do that. Does that not just fall right into helping in a court situation where possibly we could avoid a jury trial, and you help in that situation?
Well, I think so, and our system has been very successful in that regard. 15 years ago or so, when we started our dispute resolution conference program, the alternate dispute resolution, we were waiting 3 years to get into court from the time a summons and complaint was filed, a complaint was filed and summons issued, and recently we were down to just under a year. I was fearful that we were going to slide back. However, we're fortunate to have a volunteer sitting in our court in Department 10. Fred of Petchner is sitting there as a volunteer now, and she's doing a great job.
Good for her.
Handling mandatory settlement conferences.
It ties, if anybody's unfortunate enough to have to get involved with the court system, it weighs on you. Can you imagine waiting 3 years, what it must feel like to get some kind of resolution, one way or the other? So it's wonderful that we're able to get this down to a year. That's really something.
Well, the other thing that you bring to mind when you say that, my goal as a lawyer was always to look to the bottom line, and as a business person, that bottom line means what's the result after you pay for your expenses.
Right.
And as a lawyer, that's me.
Right.
So I'm always trying to look at how to resolve my clients' difficulties and end the lawyer's fees, because that's reducing the bottom line.
Right.
But, the longer the process takes, unless you are able to settle it, 3 years costs way more than one, even though in theory you're accomplishing the same result.
Right, absolutely. So I think that all falls into the whole court structure and the system, and making it efficient, and in trying to get a court system that works really well. And I think we've addressed probably all those issues. We're coming up on our 30-minute mark here. Dave, is there anything you'd like to tell the audience? Give your final hurrah here. This is... absentee ballots are coming in the mail now, and the timing's really good. Tell people why they should vote for you.
Well, I'll tell you what. You bring to mind when you say absentee ballots, this is a cram right now.
Yeah.
And I'm out on the streets, and on Sunday I was out for 7.5 hours walking the precincts.
Good for you.
And that's because I want to win.
Yep.
And I think that's important for people to know, because I think that's a demonstration of my work ethic. And I think my work ethic is beyond anybody else that's running. I work really hard, whether you're the brightest lawyer in the world or not. The way you do the best job for your clients, and I think the way you do the best job as a judge, is you prepare. You prepare, and if I become judge, I'll know the case ahead of time. I'll have looked at the law that impacts the decisions, and when I take the bench, I'm going to be prepared, and I'll be able to move the case along and I will be decisive. I'm not afraid to make a decision. I will listen carefully, and I'll be courteous to those that are in front of me. One other thing I want to mention real quickly is I'm very proud to have obtained the support of virtually across the board, whether it's Democrat, Republican, Tea Party, whether it's women, whether it's men, whether it's somebody from Georgetown or somebody from South County or from South Lake Tahoe or El Dorado Hills. So I think as a judge, I have the best ability of any of the candidates to sit on the bench, be independent, listen to both sides, and give everybody a fair chance to present their case. And then once they present their case, I have the ability to analyze the law, find out what the law is that should be applied to the situation, apply it to the facts, and end with a result.
Perfect. That's what we need. Let's do this. You have a website and you're taking donations. Anybody that runs for any kind of office needs some donations. Do you remember what your website is?
You know what?
What?
I don't.
Okay.
But it's
I believe
it's pretty
Combellack for Judge, I believe is what it is. You can find it by Googling it. It's there. And, of course, we always... How about, do you have a campaign phone number that people can just call?
I do have a campaign phone number, and that would be area code 530-622-8232.
Perfect. So now you know how to get a hold of Dave if you have any other questions. I want to thank you, Dave, for coming into Guy Tech TV interviews here. I really appreciate it. And for you guys out there, thank you very much for watching. Remember, it's up to you to vote, because if you don't vote, you don't get a say in things. And I know there's a number of you out there that feel disenfranchised, but there's nothing more important than a local election. And choosing our judges is one of the big things that you can do. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.